So, you guys remember how yesterday I said that whenever there is an East versus West kind of matchup, the East always wins because the Eastern Conference are more superior than the Western Conference that has been in the last 2 years. Oh, how the table have turned in this midweek kind of games. And the reason why I say yesterday that I talked about this is because I'm doing this today on Wednesday, and I'm going to be uploading today on a late night on Wednesday because I just realized I had to do something for tomorrow, and I won't be back home pretty late tomorrow. So, yeah, I decided to do it today, and probably I'm not going to get into too much on some of these games because I just quickly watched the condensed game. Usually I watch it like one or two times to just see, to kind of analyze the game. This time I only watched it once, so it's going to be a very kind of short summary on some of these games. But mostly we're going to be talking about these two games and talking about how the table was completely turned tonight in terms of how it was the Western Conference team that have the victory over the Eastern Conference team in these kind of East versus West. And these two teams, TFC and Atlanta, are two of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Yes, I know TFC is way down there in the Eastern Conference standing, but it's still a good TFC team, and this is a TFC team that is trying to recover from this awful start that they had because of CCL commitment, and they were the finalists in that CCL competition this year. So, yeah, these are two Eastern Conference team that is not just a Eastern Conference team where you say, oh, they're kind of like just a bad Eastern Conference team. They are actually very good. And actually, let's start talking about this one with the rematch of the last two MLS Cup final. And I'll tell you what, this match reminds me of what happened in 2016 in the MLS Cup final. So, if you guys remember what happened 2 years ago in the Cup final, Seattle won. They won 1-0. Well, actually, they didn't win 1-0. They won it in penalty. The final scoreline is 1-0 because that one goal was the penalty that they had. But they won the MLS Cup through penalty despite the fact that they had 0 shots on target, were completely dominated in that whole game, and it was pretty much every stats was in favor of TFC. And guess what happened in this game? Every stat was in favor of TFC. And although Seattle did actually had a shot on target, actually they have, I think, 3 shot on target overall in this game, TFC just basically dominated this whole game, and they probably should have scored maybe just the one goal that Osorio scored. But, Seattle were more clinical in this game. Will Bruin with the early lead for the Sounders. And then how about Buwana with the winning goal? And this goal by Buwana is got to be a fairy tale goal for him and certainly for the Sounders, because if you guys don't know, this kid Buwana has a very inspirational story of his road of making to the MLS. And I very encourage you to read the story. I think the story is on the Sounders SB Nation website, on the Sounder at Heart website, and they talk about how Buwana, he was raised in a refugee camp, and he learned the game of soccer and learned how to play the game in a refugee camp, and after years of hard work, he has made it to the MLS. And this has to be just an incredible fairy tale kind of story goal for him. And certainly, the celebration of him in this goal was just, you could see how much it meant for him. And it certainly is just incredible what he has gone through, and how he's gone through from being in a refugee camp to scoring a winning goal for the Sounder team that really needed this win. Like, the Sounders, this was a sinking ship for the last couple of weeks, and in this game, with all those injuries coming into this game, with the likes of Nicholas Ladero Dempsey, Chad Marshall, and all those other guys that is out of this lineup, and how if you look at it, the lineup, you wouldn't give the Sounders any chance against TFC. Consider how bad it was, but yet they pull through, and a lot of credit it has to do for Seattle here for getting this win. But that also kind of meant that the Quakes are now officially dead last in MLS, and that is a very sad thing. But certainly, like I said, Seattle really needed this badly, and for TFC, some will say that they kind of was unlucky in this game because they had a lot of chances to score, but at the same time, I will say that at least they gave a good effort at this one, but at the same time, you got to put away your chances. I mean, this was a game where one team were more clinical, the other team was not, and they lost this game. And I don't want to hear TFC fans say that they got robbed in this game, and the fact that they were super unlucky and that Seattle didn't deserve this. When you're not clinical enough and the other opponent are more clinical than you, then you of course deserve to lose this game. And speaking of which, this is kind of the same thing that happened in the Atlanta versus Sporting KC game. Although I will say this game, I won't say it was kind of ruined by this red card, but it kind of felt like it because, Sporting KC were up a man, and it wasn't like Sporting KC would just completely dominate after Guzan got sent off. Atlanta still had a couple of good chances, and Tim Melia, he was pretty much the man of the match. I mean, he made so many good saves in this game. Perhaps the biggest save, and I would say maybe the two biggest save, was the Kevin Kraft free kick save that he had. He actually saved two of the free kick goal that Kraft actually puts, and both of them are just worthy of definitely winning the save of the week. I mean, Tim Melia was absolutely amazing. Also, certainly honorary mention to also Aiko Apara in this game. Also, he was also very amazing in the defensive end. He absolutely silenced Miguel Almiron in this game and didn't really give Joseph Martinez that much of a chance in this game. And Atlanta, some Atlanta fans are obviously not happy about the call in this game. I think a lot of people were not happy. A lot of Atlanta fans were not happy that they got disallowed in that goal that they score. I think it was Joseph Martinez that scored that goal in the 7th minute, and it was called back for offside. But for me, I think it was the correct call, because although it kind of deflected off of one of the Sporting KC player, and it somehow just landed right into Joseph Martinez, the rule says that as long as if the ball is kind of like intended for one of the player, even off of like a deflection, then it is offside, and that it is intended to that player, and that player that is offside is going to be called for offside. So yeah, I understand why some Atlanta fans are not happy about that, but unfortunately that's how the rule is there. And then of course the sending off was no doubt a sending off. I mean, Guzan basically just completely took out Shelton in that. I mean, he was basically coming off of his line. He was trying to make a slide tackle away, trying to get that ball, but he completely missed the ball, and he brought down Shelton, and it was a pretty clear red card. I mean, and I don't think Guzan even kind of complained. He knew instantly as soon as he didn't get the ball that his marching order was going to be coming. But for Sporting KC, they did score 2 goals in the second half to win this game. Shaloui, that is actually how you pronounce his name. I know that in the last couple of videos I keep pronouncing it Salah and something like that. It's not Salah, it's Shaloui. And he is actually Hungarian, and I didn't know that that's how you pronounce it in Hungarian, because if you look at it, it looks like Salah, but it's actually Shaloui. I'm pretty sure that they might have like a kind of like a symbol right up around there. That is the reason why it's kind of pronounced Shallowy. But yeah, Shallowy with the goal. For Fernandez with the second goal to basically kill this game off. And like I said, Tim Melia made a couple of very key saves, and Atlanta probably could have equalized with Kraft free kick in the 83rd and in the 86th minute, but they were denied in this game, and I wouldn't feel so bad for Atlanta fans that they lost this, because this was still a superior kind of performance, and it's unfortunate that they were down to 10 men and that Tim Melia just pretty much enable his Manuel Neuer impression, and they lost this game. And what's disappointing about this is that now the Atlanta versus Orlando City game won't be a game where there's going to be two unbeaten team that is going to go head to head. I mean, yeah, that is a little bit kind of disappointing. Although I still think that that's going to be a good game. I mean, Atlanta versus Orlando, I know that some fans say that it's not really kind of a rivalry, but in my opinion, it looked like it might be becoming a rivalry. I mean, two of those teams are right around that geographical area of the Southeast, and those two teams are right now in the top two of, well, not in the top two, but in the top three of the Eastern Conference, and I expect that one to be a very good game also. But yeah, just to talk about these three other games, there's not really much to talk about these three other games. Starting with this one, Columbus with a 1-0 win over Montreal. Only goal of this game was Jerzy Zardes tap in to score the only goal of the game. Columbus had more chances to potentially make this even more than it is. That is a 1-0 win. And really, Montreal wasn't really in this game for the majority of the... Or actually, this is not Montreal. I'm sorry. I got this one wrong. It's actually Philly. They weren't playing Montreal. I don't know why I put Montreal there, but yeah, Philly didn't really have a lot of chances in this. I think their best chance came in the 90th minute when Sapon hits one that was just saved by the keeper, and other than that, it was just, there was nothing for Philly fans to kind of enjoy about this, and it's been that kind of season for the Union. I mean, another shutout by them. That's now 4 out of 5 games that they have been shut out, and they are now, I think, 1 minute away from another 200-minute drought that they have in terms of goal drought. And yeah, I mean, I keep repeating myself, but this is true. It is a depressing time to be a Union fan right now. And the only good thing I can say is that, welcome to the club of the depressing club. I mean, the Quakes are kind of like in that same situation too, but so is the Union also. And then talk about this one, Chicago with a 1-0 win over Montreal. This game looked like it was going to end scoreless, but Kevin Ellis with a late goal for Chicago, and it wasn't really a pretty game by both of the teams. I mean, Chicago pretty much dominated this game, but they were not clinical whatsoever, and it looked like it was going to end in a 0-0 draw. But like I said, Ellis with a late goal, and like I said before in the preview, I really don't see how this result will either help each team, even if one of these teams win, because yeah, Chicago won. They move. I think they now move up to 7th place, but they're still like a couple of points behind 6th. And the fact that they only can beat Montreal, who were very bad tonight, they would look nothing like they were a couple of days ago when they beat the Red 4-2. Yeah, I don't know what you can say about this. I still don't think Chicago is going to be a team that's going to compete for the playoff. And for Montreal, they definitely are not going to be competing in the playoffs. I mean, the biggest problem I think for Montreal right now is that they just do not do well on the road at all. And saying that, they actually have 1 road wins, and that was against the Sounders, which I thought that one was incredibly lucky because They literally, they if you go back to that Sounder versus Montreal game, I do not know how the Sounder lost that one with the amount of opportunity that Sounder had against Montreal and how they didn't really at least get a draw out of this. And yeah, for Montreal, it's kind of, you're kind of like in that depression group too, with the fact that it's kind of depressing, the fact that this team is definitely not going anywhere. But at least you're starting to get some wins. I mean, you at least have a couple of wins on the board. But yeah, and then finally, LAFC with a 2-0 win against Minnesota. This one I actually didn't even watch the condensed highlight of this one. Atusta and also Mark Anthony K with the 2 goals from LAFC, both of them scoring their first ever goal in MLS. And, you know, LAFC pretty much just dominate this whole game as you expected. And Minnesota, just like what happened when they were coming off of a 2-game winning streak, and I think they were playing against the Red Bulls that time, they were absolutely ineffective and pretty much just brought down to earth. And I'll tell you what, if that, of course, is the case, then that is good news for my Quakes team, because, you know, now that I might have a little bit of hope, the fact that we can definitely beat Minnesota on the road. Although, one thing I will also say is that Minnesota is very good at home this season, and we are very bad on the road. But yeah, that's a story for probably on Friday when I do the match preview. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the match preview. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of this game. And yeah, I will of course see you guys tomorrow for the match preview of match week number 11. There is going to be 11 games on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays for match week number 11. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash that subscribe button, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the match week number 11 preview.